Hello and welcome to another update video about Bitcoin. So we have had a bit of action in the last few days. Bitcoin sold off a little bit. We did expect a breakout of a small triangle to the downside. That did occur as planned. So hopefully nobody was surprised. I think it was yesterday when the triangle broke to the downside. So far, however, it hasn't dropped a lot. So Bitcoin is really holding very well in the last few days. We would expect basically very shortly an altcoin rally, possibly Bitcoin as well. The trend is clearly up, as I said before, against the 21,550 level. We can focus on higher. We are pulling back at the moment. A pullback in an uptrend is what I normally consider an opportunity. The deeper the pullback in an uptrend, the better, because then the better the possible entry price or average entry price if one is scaling in. But very important, there needs to be a pullback in an uptrend, right? If that pullback turns into a downtrend, that's obviously not desirable, but we are far away from that. I mean, at the moment, the trend is clearly up, and we want to take a look at the structure here, basically on the daily chart. I'm actually on the 12-hour, but I go to the daily chart. This is the price structure as it occurred or has been occurring since June. That is really the relevant area, because this is the bottoming structure where it possibly bottomed, possibly not, maybe it has. We don't know that yet, but probabilities currently point towards further upside. Before we start with that, actually, what I wanted to do, I wanted to show you a chart that we discussed early in December in the channel membership. So we do the Sunday live streams. Every Sunday we do a live stream, and there is an educational topic. Channel members can watch all the recordings. You probably saw that before. That's sort of the halving cycle chart that I created here for that live stream back then. In that live stream, we talked a little bit about structures and everything, and strategy and whatever things to watch out for in terms of the indicators. And that's also why I want to bring some additional value into this video here, because someone asked me if I could focus on the indicators a little bit in this particular video. And yes, we can. So the idea is, obviously, this is the overall Bitcoin chart since basically the start, right? I mean, it is the, the Kraken chart. So it's not, it's pretty much from the beginning. And here we've got a few. This was a live stream where we focused on the bear market structure to identify when bear markets are over. And I did highlight at the time that in every bear market, it typically starts with an ideal 1-2 setup. I mean, it ends with a 1-2 setup to the upside, which means a wave 1 to the upside, 5-wave move, and a wave 2 to the downside, a 3-wave move. That's exactly what we see here. 1 to the upside, 2 to the downside, a 5-wave move up between November and February actually, and a 3-wave move down into support. And that's what we talked about already in December. We were pretty close. Well, we probably had seen the low already. I did at the time sketch out how the structure should work out. Upside, yeah, and I also sketched in the halving here somewhere, early 2024. And we talked about, you typically get these 1-2 setups at some point towards the end of a bear market. Well, by the time you have the 1-2 setup, you typically have the beginning of the bull run. Now again, I'm not happy yet to really confirm it, the bull run, but probabilities are certainly increasing. And based on the halving chart, I mean, we should really see further upside in the coming months. The reason is that this has always occurred, right? Based on the halving chart, because we are now sort of, I don't know how many days left now until the halving, but sort of in that time period, and we were already in December, and we talked about that in that live stream, that we should really see further upside towards the halving, as it has always been the case before. Now, I'm someone who's always thinking in a critical way. So a lot of people are talking about these halving cycles, and fair enough, it can work out, but we simply don't have enough data points, that there've only been really a few halvings so far. So you don't really have enough data points to really make it a clear science and say, right, what happened in the past will happen again. You can't really say that, and often it is the case that at some point these cycles break because a lot of people expect something which then eventually isn't going to work out, right? But hey, you know, we've seen, and that's why I want to go back to this. You know, we've talked about these things we need to see. We talked about upside from there due to the halving upcoming, right? We talked about seeing a 1-2 setup. We've seen that now. We talked about the golden cross that occurred here end of January. We talked about, in terms of the indicators, put it on here, indicators. Watch for the MACD monthly reduction in negative momentum. Let's actually talk about that. There you go. Because we did analyze what did we see before, right? And things like that. And as you can see, it played out further. So the MACD monthly negative momentum is reducing. Whenever that happened before, it was basically predicting further upside in a bull run. And then we talked about the bullish cross on the 2-week MACD. That was coming. We saw that coming. Happened. Yeah, that was here sort of middle of December. And whenever that happened before, it gave a really, really good bottoming signal. We talked about that in the live stream. So I hope that live stream, I mean, the signals that were basically called out to be relevant, and since then we have really only seen upside, they all occurred. And hopefully just alone, that live stream alone hopefully saved people a lot of money, or at least made some people money. Because it was, you know, very valuable information at the time. It still is. But yeah, I mean, I'm not too much of a fan of those the halvings, but I only put it in here because it's sort of part of Bitcoin's cycle. I'm a bit skeptical about them, but this live stream back then and this chart, this long-term chart, was more focused on, the structures and the indicators that we normally see towards and how they normally look like towards the end of a bear market, right? Obviously, you never know really, but it's all about probabilities. I also highlighted here my strategy. So I did say I dollar cost average more aggressively if we have a confirmed bottom in place. Now, as you know, that was the case when we hit our green support area on the 10th of March. Since then, the prices moved up substantially. So, but yeah, you know, this is sort of the stuff we talk about in the live streams, hopefully very valuable. So we looked at the indicators just now. They certainly don't look too bad, especially on the long term. But yeah, let's get back here to the Bitcoin chart on the daily. But before we dive deeper into the analysis, first a few words about the sponsor of today's Bitcoin video, Chartprime. Chartprime is a service that provides specific TradingView indicators. There are 5 specific and unique indicators that you can only get through Chartprime if you sign up to one of their plans. These are based on quite complex algorithms and formulas and can be helpful in identifying trade setups, which means they can provide additional signals that could support your trading. Indicators can, for example, also be useful to support Elliott Wave counts to give more confidence. Of course, you don't need to apply Elliott Wave to use Chartprime, and the combination of their indicators alone can provide trade setups and signals as well. They currently offer a 30% limited time discount, so if you are interested in this, check it out. Of course, bear in mind that no indicator works 100% of the time. Here's an example of the Bitcoin chart with one of the range indicators. This indicator combines various indicators in itself, so you can adjust it to your needs, but it basically shows your range resistances, different support resistance levels based on different time frames, and it categorizes them based on their relevance. And this indicator provides you with dynamic support and resistance bands to which the price is reacting. And if you're interested in checking it out, make sure that you use the link in the video description and on their website. You can also read through testimonials and you can join their Discord community, which you can join in case you have any questions about how to use those indicators. So again, the idea is we rallied in 5 waves. We can call that a wave 1. We came down into our wave 2 support area, turned around, and we're now rallying in a possible 3rd wave. That is still intact, that count. And as long as we're holding above support, that will be the count I focus on. There is still the possibility for another bear market low, absolutely. So we still have the possibility. This year was a W wave. The upside since June, or between June and August, came down in an X wave in November. And this is now a Y wave rally where we had an A wave, a B wave, and the C wave still coming to 40K plus possibly. Yeah, this is a possibility that we shouldn't rule out, but again, as long as we are above support, this is not so relevant. We just need to keep it in mind for risk management purposes. Looking now at the 4-hour chart, see it in a little bit more detail that we obviously rallied in 5 waves of the November lows. I've labeled that as a wave 1. We came down in a wave 2 support, and on the 4-hour chart zoomed out, further upside currently is anticipated as long as we're holding the 10th of March low. If we don't hold the 10th of March low, there is one more chance for a bullish turnaround, and that could be in this wave count. Let me just double check that. Yeah. So that we really rallied in a wave 1 to the upside, but the move down to the 10th of March low was only an A wave. The move up here, a B wave, and the move down would be in a C wave, and then we could come down all the way to maybe 19K or 17.5K. This is sort of really the, let's call it, worst case scenario for the bulls. Well, actually, it's not a bad scenario because it allows people to buy back into the green support area. But to get into this area again is not really something I focus on at the moment. I would say the probabilities to get back into the green area at the moment, they are rather low. However, we could come back into these other 2 support areas. They are more relevant in the short term, either the orange one or the yellow one, and that depends on which subwave structure is playing out. In terms of the subwave structures, we've got 2 possibilities. Either all of this was a large wave 1 to the upside, and we are coming down now in a wave 2, ideally then into the yellow support area and move up from there. Here we would need to hold 21,550 for this to work out. Or the imminently more bullish count would be a 1-2-1-2 setup where it's enough to just retrace here in a shallow way. We might have done enough already, even though it currently still would, price action currently still would suggest another low. But for this scenario to work out, where we would rally imminently in the 3rd wave, we would need to hold 24,940. So we have basically a support area which is split into 2 substructure support areas, but you can treat it as one large one, right? At the moment, if I had to say which one I find more likely, it's difficult. So I would trade for the lower one because, again, it just avoids people being stopped out too early and then it hits the lower support and starts to rally. But more likely, I would consider the orange one. That's purely because if I look at the altcoin sector, a lot of the altcoins, they can't really handle deep lows again unless they really rally now, create a lot of space, and then drop again. But yeah, ideally not too many more lows, right? But yeah, generally upside as long as we're holding 21,550. So it doesn't need to come down lower. I say that very clearly. It would be preferred, but it has done enough what it needs to do. It's in an uptrend. So in an uptrend, Bitcoin sometimes likes to escalate directly. So if we go to the 30-minute chart, here still, 2 possibilities as well, where we either, this is now really the micro count, right? So if you get confused here, not a problem, because this is really micro counting for people who like to trade the smallest waves. Just to show you here, we had this Elliott Wave triangle A, B, C, D, E, which broke as expected to the downside. In this particular count, the move down yesterday was a wave 1. We're now rallying in a wave 2 that can still go a bit higher. We would then drop in a 3, 4, 5, ideally into the yellow support area in this scenario. Or we had a different count, a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and one more low in a 5, maybe 2 more lows. Yeah. If I count the wave 4 here as a B wave. But don't get too confused about the subwave structures. If this really is a correction, which it seems to be, then don't be surprised if views change frequently. That's just normal in a correction. But the point is, as long as these support areas are holding, the focus is on higher. Bitcoin would need to prove that it breaks out to the upside if it starts from here, because it hasn't produced a clean structure to the downside. It would have to be a WXY or something, not an ABC if it bottoms here, which is not ideal. So if it rallies from here, I want to see proof by a break above last week's high, and we talk here about 28,940. unless it goes above that level impulsively from here, I will not believe a low is in. I'd rather see one more low and then it can rally, and then we can confirm it a bit earlier, because then it at least has put in a decent low. But yeah, that's what Bitcoin is doing. Trend is up, upside expected, very short term, downside preferred before it reverses. But either way, I think we can look at further upside in the coming weeks. Condition here is that 21,550 is holding. But yeah, the move down currently looks corrective, so it seems to be confirming the assumption. All right, that's my update about Bitcoin. I hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.